Why, hello there, and welcome to the 7th week of Friday Night Dirt Night here on Racespot TV, streamed live on iRacingLive. Sorry about that little hiccup. We had a little bit of a technical issue on our side that I believe we now have sorted. Randy Chenowth and Justin Pritz will be bringing you all the action here in this one. And Justin, for both of these Dirt Night segments, both for the Rallycross and the USAC 360 Sprint Cars, going to be an interesting talking point because those Pro Series have come to an end. And I think that's something we'll likely focus on towards the end of this this first round with the Red Bull Global Rallycross stuff, because we should have about 10 to 15 minutes between this and the USAC 360 Sprint Cars starting up. But a lot of new pro drivers on the iRacing service as those two World Championships get set to go racing here in just a couple of weeks here in May.
That is for sure. A lot of good drivers selected, of course, for the multiple different Pro Series. 23 for the GRC side, 35 apiece, give or take, for the World of Outlaws side for the late models in the sprint cars. So a lot of talented drivers. We're seeing a few of those drivers, in fact, with the GRC side at least tonight. Should be entertaining, though, especially with the cold track conditions here at Iowa Speedway.
We got sort of trolled a little bit on the split count once again. It takes, of course, 14 drivers to split this series and 18 signed up. So we only got 9 cars on split, but it's still going to be interesting once we get to the World Championships. You see Julian Shine really hooning this thing through this sector. He's already used it up his allotted qualifying laps, and we're going to bring up the left side graphic to show the current qualifying standings. Julian Shine actually on pole in that race clutch Ford Fiesta. Stilian Shipolevsky in second with Georgi Zadzon, Bobby Zelensky, and Johan Hart rounding out the top 5. And Bobby Zelensky last week, he was in dominant he was dominant last week, Justin, at Sonoma, and well, one little incident for him at the end pretty much took it away from him.
Yeah, one incident or one mistake can really cost you, especially when it comes to the main feature of this in this kind of a series. It is going to be crucial, especially for drivers' confidence, to not make any mistakes whatsoever in this one. You don't want to have it snowball week after week after week, where you end up finishing with a DNF for after, even if you have a good run.
And that is something that Bobby Zelensky has struggled with. He's referred to himself in the past as the big orange punching bag, and well, we're going to see if he can maybe shake that just a little bit. As you see, the timer is going to count down to 0 on qualifying, and that means we have our top 5. So let's take a look at the qualifying grid for heat race number 1 as they get started and get ready to get themselves out there. It's going to be Julian Shine starting out near the front row here, and then it's going to be Georgi Zadzon, Johan Hart, Garrett Lowe, and Josh Fox. Your top 5 as they go get the field set. 5-car heat race. Once again, we only have 9 cars, so there will be no last chance qualifier tonight, so no need to get all built up about guys needing to transfer. They are purely racing for qualifying spots in the feature for the cars currently on that starting grid, just waiting for that 5th and final one, and then we will be going green here for Friday Night Dirt Night. Thank you for tuning in once again and making us a part of your Friday evening and kicking off the weekend all in all the right ways. All the cars now on the grid. I see a good mix of Fiestas and Volkswagen Revs begin to build. Lights are on. And we are green in Red Bull GRC on Friday Night Dirt Night, round number 7. In towards 1 and 2. See Georgi Zadzon going to run the outside. 3 wide for the race lead. Up and over the jump for the first time. A couple other drivers cycling through behind as well, as they all are going to work themselves through the first couple of corners here. And I believe we're through clean. All 5 drivers through corners number 1 and 2. Couple are going to opt for an early Joker lap. That's going to be Julian Shine. I believe Georgi Zadzon. I think one of them may have smacked the wall a little bit, but regardless, they're through clear. So Johan Hart will lead lap number 1. Georgi Zadzon will technically be second, but you still need to look out for the likes of Julian Shine, Josh Fox, and Garrett Lowe as they run the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But they, of course, still owe us a Joker, Justin, so still opportunities for them to jump forward.
Yeah, especially with the 1 Joker lap. About 11 seconds is the delta here at Iowa. So as long as you don't severely hit the wall like a few drivers did in qualifying, you should be able to hit that exact delta. I think a lot of the drivers in those back 3 for now, maybe holding off for maybe the last couple laps.
So no one taken to a Joker lap just yet. You see behind Garrett Lowe, get all sorts of sideways in that Fusion Racing Fiesta. Then you got Josh Fox running behind him. Then out in front, it is Julian Sean in that third spot. Fight for the race lead is 0.8 of a second, as the race leaders are already working lap number 3 of 5. You see them go in towards the tight little cookie cutter section of the racetrack. Very intricate. Got to be very, very clean to get this little sector of the track right, Justin.
Yeah, it takes a lot of precision in terms of when you brake, when you touch the gas. That time with Sajan, he just had a bad exit, which lost him a few seconds there, and now he's going to have to battle with Fox because the Joker. So if you don't have a good exit, especially here, you're going to lose a heck of a lot of time. 2 to go.
Definitely the big thing is, see, Georgi Zadzan, he's going to cycle into that second spot. Josh Fox in third, and now we got to watch for these two. You got Julian Shine, actually Garrett Lowe, who's not had a very good run. I think he's basically out of this one in terms of the competitive state. He's just well off the pace here tonight. As let's see, what is Julian going to do? He's going to wait until the final lap to take his Joker. So that number 5 Ford Fiesta from Team Race Clutch is going to be the one to watch here, as the field is going to cycle their way through. And your race leader, Johan Hart, also Team Race Clutch, he's going to lead them to the white flag through this final right-hander. Up and over the jump, these three are going to go in towards the long left-hander at turn number 2, technically turn number 1 in regards to where it is compared to the timing beam, but they're starting their final lap. We just need to now watch this 5 of Julian Shine to see where he cycles out compared to this group of 3.
Yeah, right now, following along, there he is taking the Joker, and he is going to take the lead, in fact, because he nailed that perfectly with that wave going right for the Joker.
So well done by Julian Shine. He's going to take the race lead, and he will win heat race number 1 here on Racespot TV in Friday Night Dirt Night. So Julian Shine from Team Race Clutch makes a very late move. Johan Hart will round out that second spot. Then you have Georgi Zadzan, Josh Fox, and of course Garrett Lowe, who is well down the order in this one. So let's bring up your starting grid for heat race number 2. And as you can see, it's Stilian Chipolewski from Team Fusion, Bobby Zelensky from Team Orange Fiesta, then Bastian Ramiz and Daniel Matrani Finalosa, who's actually not a name I don't really recognize here, Justin, so it'll be interesting to see what he can potentially put together.
Yeah, that is for sure with experience, but I believe we're just about to start.
We are going green. Green flag flies, and we're on for heat race number 2 as they all go running down in towards quarter number 1. Bobby Zelensky is going to try to use it the long way around here, make something happen, but no. Stilian Chipolewski is going to take the race lead through corner number 1. See behind, I believe that's actually Daniel. Yes, he is. Very, very erratic line there from that number 8 driver, and Daniel, he's going to cycle well down the running order. Bobby Zelensky, he's going to opt for an early Joker here. As your other drivers, Stilian Chipolewski and Bastian Ramiz, they're just going to settle in. So 2 Volkswagens, they're going to wait on the Joker, and Bobby Zelensky, he's going to play his cards early.
Yeah, especially with the luck, as we talked about, and he also talked about the conditions wanting to not have his car flip. So I think really wanting to make sure he gets any time he can early on in case he ends up making a mistake here. And now, in terms of a gap for the time being.
So he's got a bit of a gap, which is what he would want. It's roughly 10 seconds, but Stilian Chipolewski is sort of within the delta to potentially reel that back in. So look for that to potentially start up, and when he eventually goes for that move. So 10 seconds for Stilian is what he currently has, and that's going to make things very tight, Justin, when he eventually does Joker, because that's sort of right on the cusp of getting it done.
It's going to be absolutely close. So if you're Zelensky right now, with the delta, as you explained, he's got to make sure, find a way to gain a couple tenths per lap, or make sure he doesn't make those mistakes once again. And especially with the track conditions, make sure he doesn't go too wheeling through the corners, because that could be the difference by the time the final lap comes. When Chipolewski especially goes for his Joker lap, he's coming towards 2 laps to go. That's
the big thing, as they work themselves up toward the start-finish line right now. Does Bobby Zelensky. Bastian Ramiz, by the way, a little bit further down behind Stilian, about 2 seconds back, but should be able to easily jump the driver of Daniel Finalisa when he eventually goes for his Joker lap. That number 8 car, Justin, simply put, not on the pace today.
Yeah, not on the pace, and might be somebody that might be trying to get experience.
Oh, there he goes. Stilian goes for it. So Stilian's going to go for it. He's going to cycle into the race lead by a huge margin. As Bobby Zelensky, he's 15 car lengths shy of Stilian Chipolewski as they work themselves down into the final sector to begin the final lap.
Yeah, I think the amount of time he lost during those tight ins and outs really for Zelensky might end up costing him there, and he is losing a heck of a lot more time. In fact, I think Chipolewski, as long as he doesn't hit into a tire barrier, he's going to probably come away with this victory.
I think that's basically going to be the situation. You see Stillian in that Fusion Racing Volkswagen, relatively new team, been together about 6 weeks, about as long as this season. Did someone just plow the wall? Nope. Nope, no one did indeed. So that Fusion Racing team, they've come on strong here thus far this season. I know they have a couple of drivers in that Pro Championship, but regardless, Stillian is going to win heat race number 2 with Bobby in second, Bastian Remis, in third after he did the last lap joker. Very close, actually, to Bobby Zelensky. And then Daniel Finalisa, driver who's really struggling out there in that number 8 car. But we have the starting grid for the feature coming at you right now. Let's take a quick look. Top 8. Julian Shine, Stillian Chipolewski, Johan Hart, Bobby Zelensky, Georgi Zadzan, Bastian Remis, Josh Fox, Daniel Finalisa, and Garrett Lowe going to be the starting grid on this one. So, if you don't know how this works, 9 cars, in this case, normally 10, but it's going to be 9 this evening because it's all we got. 10 laps around Iowa, 1 joker lap as is typical. Besides that, it is all things good and regular for Red Bull Global Rallycross competition. Who is it going to be? Bobby Zelensky looks very quick. Julian Shine, Stillian Chipolewski, all those drivers look like they are very, very competitive tonight. Also can never count out the likes of Georgi Zadzan, Bastian Remis as well. I believe we now have all cars on the grid. Hear them shifting into gear. Lights about to go on. And when they go out, we will be racing in the first feature event of the night. And it is green. Stillian Chipolewski going to try to work the outside on Julian Shine. He gets a good jump, a little bit of contact, a little bit of a hip check. But I think the whole field is pretty much going to be through here on the first lap clean. See everyone being relatively nice, giving a little bit of space, but being aggressive as well. See that orange car, Bobby Zelensky, sort of in the middle of this pack, trying to make something happen. Couple drivers already opting for jokers. That's Julian Shine, who we saw cut off to the right of Stillian Chipolewski. He's going to lead this little fight. We got Josh Fox around in the background. We're going to get a replay of that here up on your screens.
Yeah, with the drivers that took the joker, wanting to get away from those kind of drivers, but for Fox, really just lost control going through that section because he ended up clipping the left front of one of those tire barriers. He had to go for a full 180 and turn it all the way back around. Now he's way at the back. He's going to need help for some luck. In fact, I think the luck just completely disappeared that he had left.
Very well might have been the situation, as we're going to go back to live pictures, and well, we're going to hop out in front. It's Julian Shine who leads this race by 1.5 seconds or so over Johan Hart in second. Garrett Lowe from Team Fusion currently runs in third. Then Stillian Chipolewski is technically in fourth. And then you get Bobby Zelensky. Things are a little bit weird right now with the joker lap, so trying to get the timing updated. But right now as they run, it's race clutch, and then it was Fusion, but Bastian Remis, he just hit a joker lap, and he's now in that fourth spot. Stillian Chipolewski, he's back to fifth, I believe. He still owes us a joker, so he should be able to jump his way forward.
Should be able to. It's just, again, going to take a amount of precision, timing out the joker as much as you can, especially with the traffic right now. But some of these drivers right now, especially in that middle portion of this racetrack, they're battling in conditions where they're going on 2 tires right now. So that could really cost a lot of the drivers who are not on the joker lap yet in terms of the time by the end of this race.
One of the big things talking about this racetrack at Iowa is the weather. It's very, very cold, and to reference what Josh is talking about, these little cars, the wheelbase is so short and they have so much grip that when you go through these tight corners, it picks up the inside tires. Watch what happens here with Garrett Lowe as he goes through this hairpin. See, look at all that weight come off the left side. That makes things very difficult. As actually, you see Bobby Zelensky, he's going to hit the joker, and he's going to break up the team race clutch fight out in front, as well as Stillian Chipolewski, who goes to second. So went from race clutch 1 and 2 to race clutch 1 and 4, and you have Fusion Racing and the unteamed driver of Bobby Zelensky running in that third spot now.
Yeah, they gained a heck of a lot of time, of course, with the Delta here, but Chipolewski, of course, one of those drivers with the pro license for the GRC series. He has got a lot of speed with that machine. You can tell with how he's trying to break in late. He's getting, I think he has a slightly faster car right now than Sheen right now, but it's going to take a lot of precision here in the next few laps here because their normal race pace is just about the same, give or take, in the 36.1s, 36.2. 37 flat last time, in fact, for Chipolewski. So he's got to find any ground he can, especially in the middle portions, to close that gap and quick.
0.3 of a second quicker with Julian Shine that last time through. A couple questions on the YouTube chat about what a Joker lap is. It's something that is unique to Rallycross. Red Bull GRC, it differs a little bit than what we typically see out in Europe in the FIA World Rallycross Championship. In Red Bull GRC, the Jokers are typically a shortcut. That's what you see on iRacing at the moment. All of the layouts that we have, it's a shortcut of the circuit to some extent. Some tracks it's about 2 seconds, and like at Sonoma, you think what we ran. Another track's about a half a second. You think about what we have at Indianapolis Raceway Park. It is not very much of a shortcut whatsoever. Then on the other end, you got the extreme tracks like this one, where it's an 11-second delta between a regular lap and the Joker lap. So it's a bit of a fluctuation in Europe. It goes the other way. It's actually an elongation of the circuit. Some drivers prefer it one way, other drivers prefer it another. Regardless, it puts on a very good and unique form of racing. Drivers are coming to 3 to go. You see Julian Shine, he leads by 1.5 seconds over Stilian Chipolewski. Bobby Zielinski's in 3rd. Then you have Johan Hart, Bastian Rabiz, Garrett Lowe. Bobby Zielinski's in the mix as well. The sort of mid-pack fight's very close right now, Justin.
Very close, and looking at some of the times here, Zielinski as well as Ramis, look at those 2 different times at the 36.6s right now. They might have the chance here if they continue up here to catch up to Chipolewski, because Chipolewski is struggling like crazy right now, through much of this racetrack. So though this group, while it may be spreading out a little bit for now, I think is going to definitely catch up, or at least for about a per second, if they get a tiny bit of luck for the last lap.
Riding on board right now with the Ford Fiesta of Bobby Zielinski, who has not yet won the race, as they are on 2 laps to go. You see him go through the cookie cutter section. I'm going to hop over to Georgi Zadzan, see if he goes to the Joker. He still owes this one, so you guys can see what it is we're talking about. Works through the long left-hander, and no, he's going to do it the next time through. So let's hop back over to Bobby. He's trying to reel in Steely. You see him be very careful there through that hairpin on the racetrack. And now up towards the sort of final sector. Julian Shine out in front continues to lead, though, as he's going to bring the white flag to us right now. He is 2.8 seconds clear. The gap, though, between Stilian Chipolewski and Bobby Zielinski is 1.2 seconds. And both have already utilized the Joker lap, so they're going to have to do it the hard way here. Johan Hart, he runs in that 4th spot. He's trying to chase Bobby down, then followed by Bastian Ramis. Georgi Zadzan, see him, he's going to hit the Joker right here. Where does he come out? As he's going to cycle through the Joker right now and up towards the back straightaway. How many spots will he pick up? He's going to sweep around Bobby Zielinski, and he's going to take that 3rd spot away from Bobby. And Julian Shine, he's going to come up and over the jump, and he is going to win here at Iowa. Stilian Chipolewski will just come home in that 2nd spot. Bobby Zielinski will get bumped back to 4th, and Georgi Zadzan on a fantastic strategy call with the Joker will round out your podium here. This one, fantastic strategy there from the 6th. Kind of just sitting back there for a while and then jumping his way forward there late, using that Joker late like that. I think that was very well done by him.
I think so too, because he not only had a very fast car, he knew that, but he had the strategy where he time it out right, he gets on the podium like he just did here. So it was a smart move for sure. Not enough, of course, to catch up the pace of the leaders, but enough to get him the best possible finish here instead of taking on early and risking any kind of mistakes or anything like that in traffic. Very smart strategy indeed for him.
So, 4-team race clutch. Julian Shine is likely going to be happy about that. Who in the world is that I see? Garrett Lowe, come on. What are you doing, fam? As he's going to pull that car off, and we're going to take a look at your post-race results as we wait for some drivers to turn up. Like we said, relatively low car count. We got a little bit trolled with the splits. There is a 2nd split for this that had the same amount of cars. We just got a little bit mixed up with that one. But let's take a look at your post-race results from our 9-car field. Julian Shine from Club Benelux takes the win. Stilian Chipolewski in 2nd. Georgi Zadzan in 3rd. Then it's Bobby Zielinski, Johan Hart, Bastian Ramis, Garrett Lowe, Daniel Finalosa, and Josh Fox. To round out this 9-car field, we saw issues there for Josh early in that race. He called it quits early on as we wait for some people to turn up. And here they come right now, in fact. So let's just get it started. As Justin Prince, you're stood by with race winner, the number 5 of Julian Shine.
Thank you very much. He had a very strong run, very consistent pace. How are you feeling coming out on top tonight?
Feeling good. I'm really feeling good. I'm quite surprised, but I could make it, so I'll take it.
How are you surprised? What do you mean by that?
I'm surprised because I didn't warm up too much. Usually I take at least an hour to warm up, but this time I was just I did the race previous to this one, but then I was messing around with my teammates on Discord, and I guess that made the difference. I didn't put too much pressure on myself, and that's it.
Yeah, sometimes practice definitely helps a lot of times, but sometimes it gets to over practice, especially. I don't like to, speaking of heating things up, what didn't heat up, of course, was the air temperature. 65 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudy skies for this race. How did that throw a wrench into everything on top of things for this race for you?
It's really difficult. Those kinds of temperatures are quite tricky because of the grip. But there's a certain way to approach it and to drive. Yeah, I'm not gonna say too much about it. Some of them figure it out already, but I'm not sure everybody did.
But with that, of course, you had a very strong run, very consistent pace, and well, of course, one of the drivers going to the Pro Series in that top 23. What do you hope to see once that gets going for the GRC Pro Series?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I don't have any real objective, like definite objective. I just want to do well, do my best, as always, and that's about it.
Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to thank my team, my teammates for all the preparation with the setups and everything else, and I'd like to thank my sponsor, which is Pit Lane Championship, and of course you for the broadcast, and I'd like to congratulate everyone who made the podium, especially Chepilewski, who's been a big support. Even we are in different teams, he's always cheering me up, and there's always a very good spirit with him.
Those are some definitely kind words, and thank you very much for the time. By the way, I believe Johan Hart is asking some help to figure things out after this one. Congratulations on the victory.
Thank you.
And that was a very happy driver coming away on top tonight. Randy is now with your second place finisher in Chepilewski. Randy?
Yeah, I'm stood by with Stillian representing Team Fusion. And Stillian, I hear you're working with Team Race Clutch over there. Is your team manager going to be very happy to have find out about this on the broadcast?
No, it's not like I'm working for them, but you know, we are all friends.
Are you giving them good info or bad info?
Oh, that's a good question. If you see the last results, must be good one. But,
yeah, they seem to be giving you bad info is the way it looks like.
You never know. I must think about it. Yeah.
Well, Stillian, it was a pretty good race for you. You've sort of gotten on a big swing of momentum the last handful of weeks here in the Red Bull GRC. Things sort of last season were a little bit rocky for you, sort of hit or miss. You'd either have a really, really good race or oftentimes get involved in an incident, sometimes not even make the show. But as we've gone through to season 2, you've gotten much more consistent, and I think that's not only transferred into the broadcast races here on Dirt Night, but as well as you had a very good and very successful attempt at at the Red Bull GRC Pro Qualifiers. Got yourself a black stripe for Red Bull Global Rallycross Racing. That championship starting up soon. You and 23 others battling it out for $10,000. How do you feel your chances are?
That's gonna be really epic fight. Chances, I can't put any chances because we are all really close, except again Mr. Michel, who is quite a few steps ahead. But yeah, definitely I'm going in and I'm gonna try to find myself at the end, at least on top 3, but we will see.
Now, where did the focus for you guys really start in terms of the first round of that World Championship? I believe it starts on May the 7th. Let me double check that. No, it's May the 10th. So 13 days from now, this is Friday, the second Thursday of the month of May will be the first and opening round of the Red Bull Global Rallycross Championship. That got announced a little bit ago. How is your feelings on that one? You guys think you're going to be set? When do you start really testing and tuning? And you guys all going to be in the same cars, or are you going to maintain this sort of switching back and forth a little bit, or alternating? Because Fusion, you guys sort of started out in Fiestas when you first came out. Then a couple of you switched to the Volkswagen, and now there's more of you in the Volkswagen. Have you guys settled on a car yet, or what's your sort of mindset at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest, I start with the Ford because I prefer the look of this car. But as we progress and I work a lot with the setups, I found that for me personally, I'm more consistent. I mean, I can make the same fast swaps. On hot swapping, I'm the same, but I feel the Volkswagen I'm a little bit more consistent. That's why I switched. Actually, the last evening was the last track where I used the Ford and I changed completely. I mean, I worked for Daytona Shorts for probably about a week to set up the car, and I think it works pretty well. We did race last night with Michel the same split, and I found that he's probably, I mean, on hot swap maybe I can beat him, or at least I can be really close, but he is probably a guy with a lot of confidence, and I see myself through the qualify and through the final, I'm always worried to not make. I mean, I don't go 100%, and probably that's why I felt a little bit back. But when I go more than 100%, start being dangerous, as you see the first season. So yeah, I have to find something in the middle. But I can say we are closing to him. Yeah.
Well, that's definitely good to see because he sort of dominated that first season and it wasn't even close. So if people are suddenly starting to close up, I am very supportive of that. It means we should be in for a great world championship. But Stillian, congratulations to you on the second place. Like you said, big head of steam and momentum for you, and not only you, the team as well. Before we let you go, any shout-outs? Who would you like to thank after this one?
Yeah, the Fusion Racing, the guys involved, we practice a lot. We are a really great group. We are working together. We are going to prepare well for the start of the Pro Series, and you guys for the great show you put every Friday, and iRacing for the service we used and have these brilliant GRC cars and trucks. And that's for now.
Well, thanks again, Stillian, and congratulations once again. Hope to see you run strong next week, and of course, run well in that Global Rallycross World Championship that starts up in just under 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.
And well, to round out the interviews, another Red Bull Global Rallycross recipient, World Championship license recipient, Mr. Justin Prince, has stood by with the orange punching bag himself, Bobby Zielinski.
Yes, the orange punching bag coming away, of course, today, just outside the top 3 today. Mr. Punching Bag, how do you feel?
It's pretty good. I was a little more confident going into the race, but, you know, there was just, I think maybe we could have got third. I damaged my car on the jump, just kind of jumped it wrong and cost me some speed there. And I could have been a little closer to Stillian and then thus being ahead of Gregory, but that's how she goes. We'll take fourth.
What kind of damage was it? Just like with the suspension as it was coming down, or something with the body? What kind of damage specifically, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, just knocked the toe out. I mean, I was steering about 30 degrees to the left on the straightaways, so yeah, it affected, I believe, left-hand turns, so that was a little annoying when you, the hairpins. But that's all my own fault. I just hit the jump wrong. The weather kind of threw me for a loop tonight. It was like minimum temperature, 65 overcast, and man, that was a challenge. Just couldn't get a handle on it like a couple other guys, but yeah.
What kind of preparation or mindset does it take to prepare for a wrench like this? Because you said itself somewhat before the start of the race where a lot of drivers specifically were going through the corners on 2 tires, in fact, in both the heats and the race. What kind of mindset does it have when you're not expecting overcast weather, 65 degrees like it was tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to make the most out of it and then make the right changes to the setup. I think for sure tonight something was just not good on my setup for the weather. It was just I was in pretty good times. I mean, I won the pro race here in my split. I pretty good in default weather, but I was just like 5/10 off the pole in qualifying. So I think there was something mixed with my driving and the setup that it just wasn't working right. They seemed to not have the grip roll issues that I had, and for the World Championship, I'll be prepared for that. I mean, it's hard to guess this kind of weather, but it happens, and next time I'll know. A shout out to Johan, gave me a couple tips on the setup that helped me a little bit and just helped me drive it better. But I think I might have slowed the car down a little bit, but I need to drive the car to be able to contend, so thanks to him. But yeah, it's just like this weather, man. Whenever they update the tire, I don't know when that's going to be. Hopefully that fixes kind of the grip roll issues, because it's a totally different challenge. You think, oh, the hotter weather, it's slick, but then you get so cold of weather and it just starts wanting to roll over on you, and you just lose tenths every time it does that. So it's definitely strange, but it's a good challenge.
I have to agree with that. It's definitely a good challenge. But of course, somewhere where you were pretty dominant was the qualifiers for the Pro Series. 3 victories in those runs, and for you in total, of course, in the top 23, finishing 4th in the points. What kind of preparation are you focusing on with that? I know you touched upon it a bit, but what kind of preparation does it take to try and get yourself ready for the first event in less than 2 weeks?
Yeah, there's a couple things I'll need to get in order. Figure out who I'm going to be working with in the series. I got a couple friends here and there. I don't know who we're going to be working with yet. But so far, it's worked out well. I've been working with Nathan Lyon for the Pro Series, and he's helped with setups, and we just practice and help each other with times and all that. So I might be working with him. Preparation-wise, I prepped for the pro races for about 2 days. It basically went like this. The peak race is on Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday I'd focus on the Rallycross stuff. For the World Championship, I'll probably need to up that a day or 2 more just to give it the respect it needs, because I mean, we're racing for big prizes now. So there's a few things I got to get in order, like setups for different weather and just practicing different weathers. But I just have a lot of fun with this series. It's kind of like I have fun with peak, but this is much more like fun and laid back series I do, and I've been succeeding at it. So I look forward to the World Championship. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It definitely looks like it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Is there anyone you want to thank before they let you get going?
Yeah, shout out to all the guys for racing clean today. I didn't have any issues with anybody. We had good starts. Thank you guys at Racespot for broadcasting these dirt nights, and we'll see you for the World Championship.
We'll see you for sure. Congratulations on the top 4 finish, and you have a good night, good sir.
Thanks.
And tonight, Bobby Zelensky, not so much an orange punching bag, comes away, of course, with 4th. Pretty good position going into the World Championships for sure, Randy.
He's definitely going to be happy with that. He definitely wasn't a punching bag tonight, and he also was not the yo-yo that we saw on Tuesday in the peak antifreeze iRacing Series race, where at Richmond he went from 2nd to like 40th to 5th to 40th to like 7th, like 9 different times. Anyone who hasn't watched that peak race, watching that number 83 car really worked through the field was amazing. We got a few minutes before the USAC 360 Sprint Car Race starts up. Because of that, we're going to take a quick rundown of your of your global Rallycross World Championship drivers. This is your 23 car 2018 class of the Red Bull Global Rallycross World Championship here on iRacing. These are the 23 drivers that we will be seeing. Now, iRacing did say when they announced the series that they would be reserving 3 spots potentially to other drivers. So whether or not any other real drivers or what the context of that actually means, it kind of still remains to be seen. But the 23 drivers we can expect to see in 2 weeks' time, 100% winning the championship for the qualifier series. Mitchell DeYoung from Team Coanda, as well as Jake Hewlett. So they Coanda Simsport, they take the top 2 spots in the points. Nathan Lyon is in 3rd, who is working with the man we just spoke to, who finishes in the 4th spot. Bobby Zielinski. Johanna Hart, he finishes 5th, with Phil Diaz in 6th. Stilian Shipolevsky 7th. Michael Guest, Yoni Häkkinen, Josh Fox. They round out the top 10 in points. Logan Clampett is in 11th. Pablo Castro in 12th. And then you have Jorn Jens, Garrett Lowe, Julian Shine, and Cedric Gesmeyer in 15th and 16th. Connor Parisi, Graham Quinn, Tony Repisard, and Evan Millar round out your top 20. And then Georgi Zedzon, Adam Elby, and Bob King will round out your 23 car field for Red Bull Global Rallycross competition. Starting once again on May the 10th will be the opening round for that championship. And the thing that's really noteworthy for me about that lineup of drivers there, Justin, is that you have a fantastic mix of people. You have people like Mitchell DeYoung, who we've seen be very quick, not only in Rallycross, but in the F1 car for the World Championship Grand Prix Series and the VRS iRacing GT Endurance Series. Jake Hewlett is a very top-level driver at Coanda. You also have other drivers. You have people like Bobby Zielinski, who was in the championship top 4 last season, along with Logan Clampett in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series. So you have Pete drivers, you have F1 drivers, World Championship drivers, you have the guys from the NASCAR group, really all have congregated to this Rallycross championship. And it's something that's similar that we've seen in real life, because anyone who's seen Red Bull, GRC, or even Rallycross in general in Europe, there tends to be a pretty good mix of drivers from multiple backgrounds who come and congregate for that. And it's going to be good to see names that we typically won't see compete against one another actually do compete against one another.
I have to agree with you, that's for sure, especially with a lot of these multi-class drivers, multiple drivers running different pro races, mind you, as well. So it's going to be a great mix. I think for some it's going to be challenging at times for them, but for these drivers, of course, to be in the top 23, the best of the best, all of them at the very least recording more than one top 10, top 5 finish at one point during racing era than Bob King. These drivers have to be perfect and on point. These drivers, it's going to take talent to be successful with guys like Clampett and Zielinski to continue to be good in their multiple different levels. So by the time May 10th comes, I think we're going to see an absolute fireworks of a show once the green flag drops for that first event.
So with that, we are going to have to call it a close for the first segment of Red Bull Global Rally, first segment of Dirt Night, the Red Bull Global Rallycross Series opening round here at Iowa. Congratulations once again to Julian Shine from Team Racespot as we take a quick little peek at him, some of his celebratory stuff in the background there. USAC 360 Sprint Cars, they're at Volusia Speedway Park. They'll be going live. Well, I'll put it this way. The servers are already up and already launched. Justin and I, we're hauling butt trying to get over there in time. We will be back in just a couple moments. Do not go away here on Racespot TV, streaming live on iRacingLive. Stay tuned. Can you hear that? Can you hear that roar? There's only one machine on Earth that makes a noise like that, and it is the USAC Sprint Cars here on Friday Dirt Night, the second and last leg here for April the 27th. Thank you for joining us once again. The Red Bull Global Rallycross stuff just put on a fantastic show. But now, the USAC 360 Sprint Cars, representative of the Traxxas Series in real life, take to Volusia Speedway Park. Qualifying is currently underway, and for the first time in a while, we do not have a split race, which means that we have a bigger grid of cars, 19 as opposed to the 10 to 11 that we normally get. Unfortunately, the split number is normally 20. We normally get about 22, 23. Because of that, we end up with an 11 to 12 car field more often than not. So this is the biggest grid of cars we've had yet on Racespot TV for the non-wing sprint cars. And well, this should put on a good show here, Justin, as these guys are going to be very aggressive around Volusia. The very first round we did, the second round that when I knew that we made a good choice doing the non-wing cars was here at Volusia. The first round was at Eldora. It was good, but that Volusia race was phenomenal. 20 laps, green to checkers, all under green. This is going to be a good night.
It's going to be an absolutely good night. A lot of talented drivers, of course, in this 19-car race, and a lot of different skill sets need to be driving at this kind of track, especially with how you have to handle it to stay out of the slick stuff and to make sure you don't go up too high near or alongside the cushion so you then don't end up on the shelf. So basically, it's about trying to stay out of trouble and being perfection, basically, throughout the night tonight, especially with the amount of cars on the field. You don't want to be sent home early or way at the back of the field for this one.
There's a lot of big names up in this as well. Thomas Lewandowski currently holds the pole. Vinny Sansone, Dave Bodio, Ryan O'Toole, and Austin Selman. Sorry, guys, by the way. See some people that are complaining about the delay between the races. Nothing we can do about that, because, well, we need to have sort of a 45-minute buffer, and we don't have something like a last chance race or a B main or a consolation race, however you describe it. It sort of sucks up a lot of the time, so you end up with 10 minutes of slow motion. It's either that or 10 minutes of ads. If you'd rather ads, let me know, and I will happily run them. Qualifying comes to a close. As you can see, it was Thomas Lewandowski who headed up the field, and we have the grid for heat race number 1 coming at you right here, right now. Let's take a quick look at that one. See it on the left side of your screen. Thomas Lewandowski and Dave Bodio, they will round out your front row with Austin Selman and Logan Rumsey on row 2, Quentin Young and Guillaume Henselt on row number 3, Chad Robinson and Isaiah Drouд on row 4, and Brian Terwilliger and Evan Goulardi on row number 5. So 10-car heat races, and the top 6 will transfer to the main event. 4 drivers will go down to the B main, the consolation race.
Yeah, that just shows, again, you want to make sure you at least get onto the feature right now, right here. You don't want to risk having to race through the consolation, so we should see a lot of intense racing, especially with just 8 laps to try and get into those main spots. So this will be a wild start to this event.
So you can take a look right now. Look at the way that the cars sort of sit on the grid. This is one of the things that's very indicative of non-wing sprint cars in particular. They're set up a little bit softer. If you look sort of down the front straightaway the way we are on this current camera angle, kind of see the cars are perched over to that left-hand side, sort of awkwardly stanced a little bit. It's going to be for a couple of reasons. One, the suspension's relatively soft on these things, especially compared to the wing cars like I talked about. And 2, you're going to have a much bigger right rear tire than you typically will in a wing car, Justin, because these guys, in order to get around the corner, you got to get a lot more sideways, and a bigger rear tire, right rear tire in particular, really helps out with that as they begin to roll off for the first of their 2 observation laps for this 8-lap heat.
Yeah, they want to make sure that with the way that gets ripped down onto the dirt, that it's right on the perfect side. It's about 1.5, give or take the ratio, compared to the tire on the left side. So get that just on the edge of where you need to be on that higher line, with the rest of the tires preferably where you see the lighter dirt for the time being in the corners. You'll get a fair amount of speed. But right now, I believe we're just a few moments away from the start of action here at this racetrack.
Yeah, just a couple of moments for sure. You can see the drivers working through corners number 3 and 4. The end of their first of 2 pace laps. Volusia Speedway Park, of course, a fantastic facility. It's on very good racing. I think I've seen good action here in all of the cars we broadcasted. Winged cars, course, I believe this track is actually owned technically by the World of Outlaws. Winged Cars put on good shows. We've had good shows here in the USAC machines. We've seen fantastic races in the late models. Volusia, one of the most interesting circuits we have on the service for dirt racing. But the field is going to come down towards corners number 3 and 4, and that iRacing safety truck will come off and back down towards pit road, and the 6 of Thomas Lewandowski will be in command of the field. Him and Dave Bodio on that front row, Austin Selman and Logan Rumsey road number 2. Who's it going to be? And he's going to go pretty early, and well, that's a little questionable in my opinion, is that 6th machine of Lewandowski. He is away and clear now with Bodio in 2nd, Selman 3rd, Logan Rumsey in 4th. May have just been the camera angle, Justin, but regardless, Lewandowski's away and clear. First fight is really between, I believe, the 18 and who is that he was actually fighting with? It's the 12 of Quentin Young to Brian Terlinger. Great start here. I think he jumped 3 spots, 2 spots in fact, on his opening lap.
Yeah, recovering from over-fueling the car on qualifying, but he's bobbling his way down that D-shaped backstretch. He's going to have to fight to keep a spot because look who's behind him and Chenowth, but he hits the wall at a turn 4. That's going to be a dangerous spot. The night on the exit out that corner. That almost bottled things up around that position there we were just talking about with Young. But for now, he's going to stay on that bubble spot.
Definitely is. He's going to try to work his way forward here, but sort of for right now, after Quentin Young, you have a nice little buffer. No need to get too crazy. Out in front as we come to the cross flags here of heat race number 1. 4 down, 4 to go. It's Thomas Lewandowski by 0.2 of a second over Dave Bodio as they hit the timing beam. And it just went out by a few hundredths for that number 6 car is Bodio. I think he gets a good run off corner number 2 there and closes in towards 3 and 4. Like Justin said, it's a bit of a D-shaped oval here, but backwards from what you typically see. Most tracks, they're shaped like Michigan, shaped like Fontana, and they have a curve along the front straightaway and they have a straight rear back straightaway. Here's the exact opposite. It's a very tight exit off corner number 4 and a straight line front straightaway, and the back straightaway is a long, slow arc all the way through on this half-mile oval at Volusia Speedway Park. Great final lap there from Dave Bodio to stretch his advantage out by about 1/10 of a second. Logan Rumsey in the 10. I think he may have just made a mistake because he's fallen down the order. You have Quentin Young as well, who's not very far back. So the white flag getting ready to wave here. Let's just shift back over to this lead fight. 6 of Lewandowski in towards 1 and 2 for the final time. This 8-lap heat race. Dave Bodio, 4/10 clear. I don't think there's any way that he's going to have an attempt of going for this one, but he will likely take into mind what that start looked like from the 6th. The 6th machine wins here in heat race number 1, Thomas Lewandowski. And let's bring out the rest of your field here on the left. Bodio, Selman, Rumsey, and Young, your top 5. Rest of your drivers there on the left-hand side. Justin, that was a nice, clean opening heat race to the USAC 360 Sprint Cars Night of Action.
Very clean for sure. Everyone got a bit spread out at times, but basically everyone who nailed down their strategies just had a nice clean run. There was one driver who had to pull off that was in that top 5 grouping that led to Rumsey moving up to the 4th spot. And Robinson might have been something miscalculating fuel. We'll see if everyone gets the calculations right for this next heat.
Well, it would certainly be sad if he miscalculated the fuel, because I believe in these days, this day and age, you only get options. I believe you get a qualifying, a heat race, and a feature event option for fuel. So if he messed up, well, then he's just a bit of a potato. But regardless, heat race number 2, grid coming at you. See him on the left-hand side. Vinny Sansone. Need to cue the music. What am I thinking? Vinny Sansone, Ryan O'Toole, David Heileman, Jacob Melvin, Todd Brandt, Ryan Broderick, Ricky Gerhart, Tony Kernan, not to be confused with Tony Kanon, Richard Christian. Is it Christ John or Christian? That's an interesting name. And Braden Casto. And as I look up and down the entries, we didn't talk about this. Interesting mix of international drivers. Got a driver from Club Dayatch in this one. Actually, no Australians. So actually, there's less people that are international than I thought. Just a bunch of Americans with wonky-ass names.
Well, there is a Frenchman in that group, too, as well, if you look at things. But when you look at some of the regions, though, it spreads a bunch of people from across the country. You have people from the Carolinas, the New Yorks, the West region, Texas, the Midwest, California, in terms of Brent, for example. So it just shows the power of how iRacing connects people together, so to speak, so they can have some nice hugs and play in the mud.
Well, no comment. I'm not going to say what I was about to say. But regardless, it's going to be Vinny Sansone who brings them to green here for heat race number 2 as the field paces down the back straightaway. George, I'm sorry that the first race ended while you were in the bathroom. You should probably go to your doctor if your bathroom trips are lasting that long. But regardless, pace truck getting ready to pull off of corners number 3 and 4. It's going to be the 7 of Vinny Sansone. He waits a lot longer for that pace truck to get out of the way. No jump this time, Vinny Sansone. Now orange and white machine, he's going to lead him in towards 1 and 2. We saw Vinny be strong here in the season opener, but look down to the bottom. I believe that's going to be Dave Heilman making a big move. We saw him make a big move down low at Lima Land for the win, and that 2 machine goes from 3rd to 1st in the opening lap.
One of the strongest cars in the field and strongest drivers. He is going to easily cruise here because this is a guy I've seen throughout different classes be able to have the rhythm like he has here. He's already having about the perfect pace to have the exits to pull away from Sansone right now compared to O'Toole.
To answer your question, Team VLR Racing, please no. As David Heilemann, he's leads by half a second over Sansone and Ryan O'Toole. And, well, he got the 8 machine of Todd Brandt. He's checking in, but the 5, though, of Ryan O'Toole wants P2 from the 7 of Vinny Sansone. He goes down to the bottom as they're approaching halfway. And Ryan O'Toole, he made that move look easy on Vinny. He now moves up to the 2nd spot.
Yeah, lots of fighting right now between those two. Sansone, though, he looks a tiny bit off the pace, but was able to recover with the exit that time. Higher up on the track towards the top of the racetrack for the time being. But look who's underneath them in Melvin, taking advantage of that D-shaped track and the struggles that Sansone's having through the apex and entries. But Melvin just hit the tires and the barriers right on the pit entry area. That's going to lose him some time, but he just had the perfect spot right at the bottom of the racetrack, right at the brim to take the 3rd spot.
You see right now, drivers still trying to make moves as Vinny Sansone is up top, trying to defend from that 8 car of Jake Melvin down in towards 1 and 2. They are going to go. They remain side by side. Big sideways action there from the 7 of Sansone. He got a little bit loose, and that's going to drop him back to Melvin comfortably now as Melvin's going to begin the fight for that 2nd spot. Meanwhile, David Heilemann, he's out by 1 second and some change here as they get the white flag here in heat race number 2. So who's it going to be for this 2nd spot? You see Melvin, he's going to work the bottom. He has a nose, I think, in towards 3 and 4. If Ryan O'Toole cannot get the jump off the corner, it's going to be that 8 car, but look at the 5 machine really spool it up on the outside. It's going to be Jacob Melvin Ryan O'Toole who holds on for that 2nd spot. Race results on the left side of your screen. So David Heilemann well and truly clear. Then O'Toole, Melvin, Sansone, and Todd Brandt. As always, this has been a fantastic run for these guys as we, for the first time, I believe, on Racespot and for the 360 Sprint cars, we've got a B main for these guys, Justin.
Yeah, we do, and it's going to be, I believe, the top 4 that advance on. One thing to take note of, there was the different line from Melvin. Everyone else was alongside the cushion in that run except for him. He was the only one to make that work. So if that bottom line right against the wall is starting to get together and get the line broken in now potentially for the B main in the feature, it's going to make things even more interesting, more fun for the rest of this night.
So 8 cars in the last chance qualifier B main consolation race, whatever you want to call it, this feature race before the feature race is coming at us right now. As you can see on the left hand side, Isaiah Dowd and Tony Kernan on that front row, Yame Hensalt and Ricky Gerhardt, Evan Galt and Richard Chris John. That name just messes with me. And then Chad Robinson and Braden Casto. I think the big name here, Justin, to really keep an eye on is that 7th place runner of Chad Robinson, because he's been one of the best cars generally in this championship. I actually don't know. Is he on track right now? I believe he is. Let me double check.
Yes,
yeah,
he is.
Yeah, he is. So he's been one of the dominant drivers in these on-wing cars. Been a very interesting and fun driver to watch. Been very fast. I think we've seen him fight for wins here on the broadcast races as well. So he's really the one I expect to really move forward in this one. Question is, can he get to 4th within 10 laps?
I'm interested in that too because he was in that top 5 for his heat, and then elected to go off the racetrack and went into the pits for whatever reason. So, I'm curious to see if he got whatever situation he's got dealt with here to be able to get into that grouping. He should be in a good position. I believe 1 or 2 drivers might be in the pit lane with this. But as long as he keeps it clean and gets the pace, he has had the pace so far, especially with what we've seen qualifying and heat-wise. He just has to make it stick here for this B main, or else he is done for the night.
So, top 4 transfer as the field works their way through. We only have 68 cars on track, interestingly. I believe we are missing Braden Castro and maybe Richard. No, we're missing Evan as well. He's down on pit road right now. Let's see if he comes out on track. As the green flag flies, the 19 of Isaiah Druid, he waits up until the last second to get on it. We already got trouble for the second spot. Who's that blue car around? That is the 1? No. Who's that I saw around?
That was Tony Kernan going around in that turn number 1, where he ended up just sliding and spinning himself into a 180. Way too strong into the first corner, trying to go for the slide, and cost him right there. Meanwhile, Robinson, guess where he is? He's in second.
So we're back up here out front as Chad Robinson is doing a good job to work his way forward. There's that number 3 machine who went from 7th to 2nd on that opening lap. He now begins lap number 3, and well, he's leading this thing. Chad Robinson, he wasted no time. Basically just said, see ya, go ahead.
See ya, go ahead was the 19 as he hit the wall, flipped up and over. So this was the guy who was in second after the pass. Just went way too high along the cushion, wall-rigged the wall with the right sides, and flipped upside down. Yeah, he's done. He's definitely done.
That reminds me of an incident that we saw at Paris a couple years ago. I can't remember the driver's name. It was a Finnish driver. We're going to get another look on this on board with its number 19. But the Finnish driver, I think anyone who's sort of in tune with the 360 sprint car and, well, 360s in general, had a big crash at the Paris Auto Speedway, ended his career. Still alive, unfortunately. Suffered a bit of brain damage, but is still alive and kicking. But it's a very, very big accident. If you look up Paris Auto Speedway crash on YouTube, it was a big one. And that was a huge, huge incident as these guys worked their way through. And Chad Robinson, well, I don't know what he did. I don't know if he got caught up in an incident in his heat race, if he missed his heat race, but he's already out to about a 7-second lead, I think, over the entire field here. At the time he's going to update, it's 2.5 at the end of the last lap. It's actually only 3.7, so not as much as I thought, but Robinson's checked out.
Absolutely checked out. He is riding right along the perfect spot with the cushion, not hitting the top where there's the shelves for the track entrances and exits. He's just got himself dialed on in. As long as he doesn't end up going too high, I think he's going to be able to stick this right now. But still, you got a couple battles and a couple recoveries on the bubble spot, especially for Kernan right now, trying to get maybe 1 extra spot, 2 laps to go.
So for Kernan, he might want to pick up that spot on Ricky Gerhardt, but at the end of the day, it's sort of not going to gain him very much. It's a difference between starting on the outside of the last row, starting on the inside of the last row. No real big gains there. He also has the 17 of Guillaume Hensenau. Really the closest fight on track right now. See some people really struggling as they're going to take the white flag here as Chad Robinson's out to a 5-second lead on the rest of the field. You see looking and winding up around the outside. Tony Kernan wants to make something of this. Going to look down to the top side once again as Chad Robinson, he's already clear as the second place is going to go. Guillaume Hensenau, and then Tony Kernan actually got that 3rd spot away just in the final moments. There is the post-race results. The top 4 are Robinson, Guillaume, Kernan, and Gerhardt. Those are the 4 drivers that transfer to the feature, with Chris John and Evan, the 2 other drivers who did not make the field. As I may have just broken our overlays somehow, so well done to me. There is a Team Chimera Global Rallycross background as we bring this back up. But Justin, we're in for a fantastic feature, I think. 16 cars on the grid here. This is going to be a good one.
Going to definitely be a good one, especially with the drivers going to be on that front row, what we've seen with Lewandowski and Heilman. Both of them very talented drivers. Plus, you have a few other drivers in the mix, like Settlement and so forth, that are definitely standout drivers, had very strong performances. I think the one you definitely have to watch in the end, though, Robinson, able to recover from the qualifying mishap with adding too much fuel, able to recover from going off the racetrack to go into the pits during his heat to come away with the Constellation victory. He's going to be someone we might see in the top 5 within the first 5 laps.
Definitely going to be something we need to keep an eye on. But we need to do it. Go down the starting grid, and that means starting the hype music. Starting out on pole, you have Thomas Lewandowski. He'll be alongside David Heileman on that front row with Dave Bodio and Ryan O'Toole on row 2. Austin Semmelman and Jacob Melvin on row 3. Hey, did you know that that guy starting in 5th doesn't run with a mirror? Logan Rumsey and Vinny Sansone on row number 4 with Quentin Young and Todd Brandt on row number 5. Brandon Turwater and Ryan Broderick row 6 with Chad Robinson and Yami Hernsnot row 7. Then you have Tony Kernan and Braden Castro. Actually, no, Ricky Gerhardt is the 16th driver starting in this one. So the field works their way around for the first of 2 pace lap. Justin, who's your pick?
I think my pick for this one might be David Heileman, because he had probably the fastest pace, I think, in terms of both the heats. He's somebody that's very consistent in his sprint car and somebody that will be very strong, especially up at the front, to be able to just pull on away if he gets a good start alongside with Lewandowski. If he doesn't get a good start, he's going to be swallowed up quick and have to try and find a way to get a good pass. But he is my favorite to pull away with this victory like he did in his heat.
Let's see what we can have happen here. Of course, it's important to remember Dave Bodio, he kept that driver in the number 6 of Lewandowski honest in his heat race. David Heileman was uncontested in his heat race. So as the field gets ready to go racing, the pace truck ducks down to pit road, and once again Lewandowski goes early. So this isn't him playing games, just what he does. Green flag flies, 20 laps on the board. First one is running now. Bodio wants to take that race lead, but he's going to be denied, I think. You have Heileman spooling it up on the top. You have Selman also checking in down low as well, but Bodio doesn't lay over and die. But now the 2 of Heileman gets big speed down the front straightaway. But look at the 4, we got a car upside down though in the background. Who is that flipping up and over in the air?
That was Jacob Melvin, and we knew in his heat he used the bottom side extensively, but he did this in his heat. He hit the pit entry wall this time, hit it way too strong and flipped up and over top the field, as you see on the replay. So he is done just because of one mistake that just so happened he had the similar mistake before in his heat.
That is a big incident. Going to get another look at that here in just a moment. We rode on board. That's actually just a little bit too far back, but that's okay, as we can get another quick look at it here and watch the first couple. Actually, you know what? We'll go back to live pictures because these are short caution laps as the field cycles their way through, and actually the lights should be going out relatively soon here, I believe. You see lights are on the pace truck there. They have yet to go out. So for that number 6 of Lewandowski, those restarts, Justin, are a little questionable. He's going really early, and he is driving right through that iRacing safety truck. If someone decides it, that is, I believe, protestable. So he needs to be careful.
I agree with you. I held my tongue with the first time I seen him do that. This time, I gotta definitely say something, because you're right. It's definitely protestable and definitely something that could really throw off the rest of the field like it has for both of his starts to his races. So if he does that again, I think, and it causes a lot of scrambling in a bunch up, for example, in turn 1 with drivers not expecting it again, it's going to definitely throw off everyone, and definitely somebody's going to end up doing something like that with a protest. So I think if he is smart, he waits until the pace truck is at the very least in pit lane, at the very least, not where the pace truck's not even off the track and he drives through the back end of it.
Well, we're about to find out, because we're going to ride on board with Thomas Lewandowski on this restart, and let's see what he does. See him kind of midway up the racetrack defending that high line due to the single file restarts, and let's see what happens. The pace truck's he's going really early. I think that's a little questionable, but I do know that on some of the ovals the pace truck doesn't take the greatest of lines exiting the corners, but regardless, we're back to green flag racing and immediately back to yellow. Come on, guys, these non-wing sprint cars have been so clean. I don't know if it's because we have some inexperienced drivers in the mix, but let's see what caused this one. I believe it may have been that number 17, but I'm not really 100% sure.
Yes, it exactly was. Basically, that start threw a lot of people off in the back again, and he hit the gas way too strong, went sliding sideways and into him, flipping up and over that blue machine once again of Kernan, who recovered from his situations in his races. So just circumstantial situation, nothing he can do there in terms of trying to avoid that when you're trying to get a good restart just bad luck, and just way too strong of trying to get on the gas with that restart for the 17.
So once again, having another quick look at this, you see him, he comes off corner number 4, and yeah, you're right, just a rookie mistake, and that number 13 car of Tony Kernan, absolutely nowhere he could go. We're gonna get one more look at this on board with Kernan, see exactly what we're talking about, the fact that he had nowhere to go. You see him, he sort of gets on it, and that 17 car is up there. He's gonna see him get sideways, and look at that. Can't even really see it on the onboard cam, but that's how tight things can often get here, and oftentimes you're driving unsighted in sprint cars, both in the sim and in real life as well. Very difficult to kind of know your boundaries, but light should be going out right here, so another restart coming out, and well, this has been the heaviest a race with the most caution we've seen thus far.
Yeah, this is some of the heavier cautions. I think with, of course, just about the halfway point coming up, some of these drivers are, if they want to keep this green, definitely have to calm things down here on this restart to at least get some racing. You don't want to get this to where you're following the pace truck all day long and it comes down to who gets a good restart here. We're going to see who gets that good restart, though. Pace truck is off.
So they're away in racing as that truck barely gets out of the way to David Heileman. Going to start working on that 6 of Lewandowski. I think if we get some green flag running, the Heileman will have a chance. The 4 of Bodio nearly tags the rear end of David, but man, does a good job of keeping it back there. Bodio is now going to fight with Semmelman down up on the top side. You see Semmelman down low, but not able to make anything of it. The 4 is hooked up top as we got 10 to go.
10 to go and a lot of time to try and get things together. Heileman, I think, has the better car right now and the better setup. It's just about trying to get what he wants. Lewandowski almost went up on towards the shelf that time. If they both ride along the cushion, I think this will be a good situation for him, especially since the pressure behind just made one mistake. Heileman is right there.
Heileman's going to make a move down low. We saw him make a fantastic last lap pass at Limeland, go down the inside and throw a fantastic move. Nothing going just yet. So even though things look difficult now, Heileman has been known to make things stick when it doesn't look like anything is capable of being stuck. You see other drivers fighting up and down the field. This is the fight between Quentin Young and Logan Rumsey. They're fighting wheel to wheel through corners number 3 and 4. There's a fight for 7th and 8th on the racetrack. See them going to be side by side up near the start finish line is out in front. The 6 machine of Lewandowski is starting to push the advantage out to a 0.3 of a second lead after that last lap, and I think it may have gone up even more this time through.
Yeah, Heileman just bobbled his car too much to try to rotate the car on the apex of 1 and 2 last time. This time much more better. It's going to be very difficult, I think, to close this up because with that mistake, it was about a 0.2 of a second difference. This time by at the start and finish line, in terms of lap times, he was faster, Heileman. So if he can not make a mistake here, he should have barely enough time, but he's got to make the bottom side stick like the 4 of Bodio is trying to do and failing to do so.
Don't think he's going to be able to do it though, because that is a very slick groove getting down to the bottom. So for David Heileman, it's going to be, I think, a bit of a miracle move trying to get down there. I don't think we've had enough green laps to really work in this upper lane. We lost the first half of the race. I think if that top groove had gotten worn in, Justin, the 2 machine may have a chance, but it's so good with 3 laps left. The 6 machine has just been able to pin it up there on the cushion all night.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of not having the track worked in and not a lot of time at this point. Coming towards 2 to go, I think as long as Lewandowski does not make any mistakes here, he should come away with the checker flag in this one, leading every single lap. But there's still pressure, lap and a half to go.
Here's a close fight deeper down the field. Actually, you know what? It's already formed itself out. We might hit this one under caution. I saw a car go around there. The 12 of Quentin Young. He's got it back underway, though, and going straight as Tom and Lewandowski just took the white. He's working the top side. You see him getting around the number 17 there of Henzel. That lap car might hold him up. 6 machine's got to get out of the throttle. He's going to go down to the bottom. Does Lewandowski? Will he be able to make this stick down there? He's going to come off that final corner, and he is going to win here at Volusia. But my oh my, did that lap traffic really hold up that number 6? He dropped 0.3 just on that final lap, Justin, and I think that likely would have made him nervous. But for Lewandowski, he still brings home the checkers here after a fantastic run at Volusia.
Fantastic run. Bit sketchy, of course, with the starts, but even with the starts, he had a fast car, had the consistency to stay up in front, and had a nearly flawless green flag runs kind of race for him tonight. just able to cruise his way to a victory tonight over a definitely hard competitor to try and battle with in David Heilemann tonight.
So we're going to take a look at our post-race results. We'll cue the intro music for this one and take a quick peek. See Thomas Lewandowski, he takes the win by 0.4 of a second over David Heilemann. Think David would have had a chance that upper groove had come in just a little bit, gotten worn out a lot more, would have maybe opened up the racetrack, but instead Lewandowski was able to pretty much autopilot around the rim. Dave Bodio finishes third with Austin Semmelman in fourth. Ryan O'Toole, Vinny Sansone, Logan Rumsey, Todd Brandt, Chad Robinson, and Quentin Young. They round out the top 10. Then you got Ryan Broderick, Brian Terwilliger, then Ricky Gerhardt, Yalm Hensal, Tony Kernan, and Jacob Melvin. And well, just going to wait for some interviews. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, but a lot of drivers in this grid as well, Justin. They have just gotten Sprint Car and Late Model World Championship license. That series starts up in just a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, a couple weeks as well. Guys like David Heilemann are a part of that grouping, of course, going on for the Sprint Car side. As mentioned, a large amount of drivers getting spots. Richard Marito Jr. won that group to start up with Alex Bergeron. Heilemann, Cooper, Robert Kurtzetter in that top 5. Some very good names that I'm seeing there, like the Sunderland brothers as well. Anthony Lopresto, definitely a lot to run through, but I believe our second place finisher is ready to come up to the broadcast booth, Randy.
Indeed he is, and you are stood by with him, Justin.
Yes, he is right here, stood by with me, David. David, you had a toughly fought race there to try and catch up to Lewandowski. He finishing off second in this one. What are your quick thoughts?
I just knew he had some really good speed, and it was gonna be tough to get past him. And he was going really early on the restarts, which is fine. So I just had the time one right. And it seemed like I did, and I was right on him going into 3 and 4, but instead of throwing a slide job, I thought there was still a little something down low, but I completely missed it anyways, and then once I was about a half second back, I could never quite get this bumper again.
Yeah, it looked like it was definitely a lot of fighting. And one time in 1 and 2, you almost went about 45 degrees in the apex of the corner there.
That's nothing compared to Lima Land.
Yeah, that's for sure, but there was a few cautions, of course, in this race where the track didn't really grip in, so to speak, with the dirt. How did that affect how you were running your lines for this one?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that it didn't split because I thought there might be a couple more cautions than normal. So I was telling myself, if you have a chance, David, go for it. But then, like I said, in 3 and 4, I never did throw a slide job. I just tried to get to his inside. And I made a couple adjustments that I thought would help, and I think they did, because I knew the track was going to be a lot slicker. But I don't know. I was in 1 and 2. I was good the first half of the race, but then once I got behind, and I don't know. I think I just started overdriving the car for a couple corners, and then I really wish I hadn't, because that lap car got in front of him at the end and kind of slowed him up. And if I wouldn't have lost those, little bit of time that I tried the bottom at the end, I might have been right there with him.
I have to agree. I think if it was a matter of an error lap or two dealing with the lap car, you might have been able to come away with this one. But you did come away with 2 victories in the qualifying series for the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars, which, of course, you're up in that top 35. You punch your ticket, basically. How are you feeling about being in the Pro Series?
Yeah, it felt good, to be honest, for sure. Just hung on in the late models also. But that's the other thing with the pro license. I didn't want to do anything too crazy in this race. Gotta keep my SR a little.
RIP safety rating.
About that a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was one of the things holding me back a little bit, because I didn't want to send it on them.
Yeah, in the late models, finishing off 32nd in the standings. But what kind of preparation are you doing with your team to get ready for both of these Pro Series? Specifically, I know it was specifically in previous conversations with you in interviews, Sprint Car is a bit more of your stronger suit.
As a team, we haven't really done much yet. We've probably done more talking about the biography and the photo you have to send in. That's what we've done more. We've spent more time on that than we have.
Will Austin's photo have a mirror in it?
That's a good question. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he'll. Yeah, maybe that's what we should do. We should everybody but Austin will take our pictures add a mirror, and then his won't have one set. I don't know. It's just we're just still having fun with it. We're kind of glad we could sit back and relax for a couple Monday nights now and not have to stress about getting crashed out of that.
And of course, both of the Pro Series, as mentioned, trying to have a laid-back style with this. With you working with your teammates, how do you plan to try and go week in, week out, racing as hard as you can to try and get victories like you have throughout many different series on both Racespot TV and iRacingLive, and as well, of course, with the qualifying series to try and keep that consistency, especially with guys like Bergeron, the Settlement brothers again, Howard Weaver to deal with, Chase Cabre a part of that group. There's a huge amount of good drivers just in the sprint car side alone, and guys like Austin Carr and so forth on the late model side to deal with as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of strong guys out there in the series, but just looking at the team we got at Team VLR, we got late model guys, we got sprint guys, and we know we got the best drivers, and we'll put together the best setups, and yeah, we definitely know we'll get it done.
We'll see if you can get it done with that, but of course, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank, especially from Team VLR?
Especially from Team VLR?
I don't think you can thank anyone at Team VLR, especially that Howard guy.
Or anyone.
No, definitely thanks to everybody at Team VLR. We don't play any favorites there. When I wanted to join a team, God, I'm gonna get all wholesome here now, and you're gonna make me cry. But it's exactly what I wanted from a team. Not taking it super seriously, but just kind of a bunch of guys you'd like to hang out with, and we just happen to hang out, driving around in circles, turning left on video games for most of the day. So, I mean, it's just the best team I could ask for personally. But thanks for Racespot, of course, putting it on Friday nights. And can't wait to see you guys broadcast the Pro Series, like you said.
Can't wait either. Thank you very much for the time, David. Congratulations on the second place tonight here on Dirt Night.
All right, 10-4. Goody, goody.
Goody, goody for sure. And definitely that team for Team VLR, a lot of strong drivers. That's why I mentioned that kind of phrase with a lot of good drivers in that group. Alex Bergeron a part of that camp. Guys like Weaver a part of that camp as well. So that team with a lot of their drivers for both classes could be contenders for the Pro Series. But of course, there's a lot of talented teams and a lot of talented drivers in both of those sides, Randy.
There definitely is. There's a lot of talented guys in those both the late models and the sprint cars. But it's been a fantastic qualifying season up until that point. Top 35, we'll run them down right now. The sprint cars. Well, let's just go. It's Richard Murtaugh, Alex Bergeron, Dave Heileman, Nick Cooper, Rob Kersetter, James Edens, Chase Cabre, Rob Kendall, John Batista, Anthony Lepresto, Matt McKinney, as I scroll down and lose my place, Chris Brenner, AJ Neben, Ryan Pace, Austin Semmelman, Dylan Semmelman, Adam Elby, Howard Weaver, Tim Ryan, Rusty Kruger, Mike Sheridan, Corey Hines, Britton Roxbury, Weston Newell, Philip Diaz. Those are your top 25, and then there's 10 more. That's going to be Toby DeBell, Cam Dance, Justin Thomas, Jesse Dacus, Chase Briscoe, Dan Smolders, Ricky Thornton, Ryan O'Toole, Max Stambaugh, and Bradley Cash. Those are your top 35 for the World of Outlaw Craftsman Sprint Car drivers. Hopefully those will be all the drivers we see turning up, but it should be interesting. And one thing that David sort of hinted on is being able to maintain a license, Justin, because for those who don't know, the Pro and World Championship level drivers, it's sort of like the safety rating for all the other licenses. So as you go up, it takes a higher corners per incident count to maintain the safety rating to hold on to that license. And there's a number of drivers who have gotten that World Championship license and they didn't have the CPI to keep it, and they're struggling to get up there. I think it's something like 70 seat corners per incident is what you need to maintain like a 2.0 for a World Championship level license versus like 30 to 35 for a 2.0 and the 4.0, 2.0 for an A license. So it's almost double the incidents to maintain the same number.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this list of the drivers in the top 35 on the license classes for safety rating, for example. There's a lot of them that are below that 2.0 threshold right now, so that adds an intense amount of pressure for those drivers in that mix, it's about a quarter of the drivers in that top 35 that have to work to try and get to that 2.0 threshold before that first race.
Yeah, there's about half the drivers looking at it right now. On the front page, most of the drivers have their license and are, have that Pro World Championship level. There's only, I think, 4 or 5 that don't. When you get to that second page, though, there's only about half of them that still have it. Second page, though, things seem to be a lot cleaner for the late model drivers. This is going to be your 35 car field for that. Jacob Leverstein, Ricky Thornton, John Fiddler, Tyler Ducarme, Adam Elby, Dylan Hauser, Mike McKinney, Alex Bergeron, Zach Leonardi, Kyle Johnson, Jesse Carr, James Edens, Charles Cosper, Jacob Fields, Garrett Nabruge, Matt McKinney, Casey Kerwin, Phil Diaz, Chase Rodman, Josh Lawton, Virgil Graham, Nick Cooper, Howard Weaver, Austin Semmelman, Randall Carter, top 25, and then Austin Carr, Zach Rounds, Brandon Schmidt, Justin Thomas, Drew Hirchko, Josh Phillips, David Heileman, Mark Molnar, Chris Brenner, and Kevin Deadman will be the 35 car field there. So it's interesting to see the number of drivers double dipping on those guys.
Yeah, it's a lot of drivers in that mix. A good portion, at the very least, that are going to be double dipping. And in the case of Alex Bergeron, for example, triple dipping with the Peak Series. It's going to be a bit of a spinning head, so to speak, in terms of trying to manage everything for some of these drivers. But they got to make sure they have the consistency again. They got to make sure they have the good runs. Some of these drivers, stronger in the sprint cars, for example. Well, some drivers, stronger in the late models, like Leon Hardy, for example, I've seen with the American Dirt Series. Guys like Gloverstein and Thornton, they had the most wins, basically, throughout the runs, 4 and 3, respectively, with the only other driver with 3 in Leon Hardy. So there's a lot of good drivers here, and it's about working as a collective unit with the teammates you have, I think, to get the good runs you need to have to be able to not just stay above the 2.0, not just, qualify well, but to race well and to make sure you're on the same page. The one thing I want to note, though, look at the 19th place spot driver in Chase Rodman. Only driver I'm seeing here in the top 35 that with a B license, believe it or not.
Yeah, there's a couple drivers that are really struggling to maintain a license, and if they can't do it, they will lose it. I've seen it happen in the past. I've seen it happen after some endurance races on the roadside. People go through and, like in a Spa 24, drivers rack up a bunch of incidents. They lose that pro license, and they don't get it back in time for a World Championship event, be that the GP Series or for the GT Series, whichever one is relevant. Because some drivers do both championships, and of course, because it's a roadside thing, it goes both ways. The other thing to keep in mind, a lot of these guys, being a pro and World Championship license holder, you're no longer considered just a regular iRacing member anymore, and there's some a higher bit of standards that come with having that black stripe. And I think some of these drivers, both on the Rallycross side and on the World Championship side, some of these drivers are World Championship level drivers and other things, such as the Peak Antifreeze Series or some of the road stuff. That's more of the road guys are in the Rallycross series than in the oval stuff. But a lot of the drivers, I think, are going to be surprised by the level of standards that is held by them in terms of how they interact with the community and what they say to people in races. And I think some people may struggle with that, maintaining that. We may see some people go away over the course of that.
Definitely agree with you. It's not just about, the fan base you might pick up with the pro license. It's about when you're driving in, say, the fixed or open kind of races in a public session, you're going to have standards, of course, where if you make a mistake that is something, say, of a rookie or a lower class member, you're definitely going to be on the hot seat for it, so to speak. If you go into an argument with the driver, it looks bad on you. It's not as simple as, okay, it's just a discussion between drivers. It's an arguing matchup with a pro driver. So you don't want to end up making mistakes. You don't want to end up collapsing under pressure. The best of the best, I think, in terms of how things go by the end of the season and who sticks around and who goes into victory lane is the drivers, I think, Randy, the ones who can handle the pressure the most of having everyone on your eyes and facing towards you and being able to succeed in both the public races and the pro races. If you do not, you're going to be probably gone by halfway through the season, whether it's from being burnt out or from just bad luck.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing for these guys. For some of these, you know, it's a long schedule, and these guys, well, the guys in the likes of the Peak Series, the VRS Series, and the World Championship, they get off weeks between the races. If you're going to be double dipping into both of those road series, plus some of these guys, they're double dipping into in the dirt oval stuff and the Red Bull stuff as well. You're talking 3 races a week, pretty much 2 races a week, pretty much. So you're talking not a lot of downtime. So those guys are going to be very, very busy, and I'm really looking forward to it. Championship competition starts sooner than you might think. The first of these new World Championship will kick off in the Sprint Cars. Race 1, it will be May the 7th. And after that, it's going to be the World of Outlaws. Then it will be on the 10th, Red Bull Global Rallycross. And then, of course, on May the 14th, Volusia Speedway Park. On May the 14th will be World of Outlaws Late Models World Championship Series. So things are kicking off relatively soon. But regardless, that is going to round it out for us here on Racespot TV for Friday Dirt Night. Huge thanks to all the drivers who do a lot for us. Well, to all the people who do a lot for us to be able to make these shows possible. Randy, Chenowth, and Justin Prince. We were the people who brought you all this stuff tonight. I worked the cameras. Hugo Louis did the camera packs for the oval stuff, and of course it was Andy. Andy Werner did our graphics. Simon Grossman and Nick Tisson for the live timing and the development. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. We hope to see you guys again on another broadcast. Hope to see you guys tune in. And until then, see you next time. Bye-bye.